Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome to this live live call on Zoom, and I'd like to take the time to welcome all of you guys to this live Zoom, building your golden team, and that's what we're going to do. Exactly what we're going to do today, talking about how to build a golden team. So first of all, for all of you guys who hasn't been joining us, I want to let you guys know we have been doing this for a while. We've been doing this. This is call number 8. As you can see, this is call number 8. And at the beginning of this pandemic going on, I decided that this is a perfect opportunity for me to share some of the things that I believe that we can all get better when we exiting these situations. I'm a strong believer of everything will pass, everything happens will pass, and I'm a strong believer of that, and that's why I'm doing all this Zoom call, and I've been expanding on my monthly meetups, Zoom calls, and boot camps, you name it. So I'm just out here and hosting all this little bit of Zoom call boot camps in different times, and hoping to help you guys to understand how everyone, investors just like you and me, can be doing multifamily. In fact, I started just like everyone else and started learning how to do multifamilies from people who had done it before, who have done it many times before, and I'm just doing my little shares of in this time. This is by the way, this is Wednesday, and it's wonderful out there. But looking on the street, I'm looking on the 25th floor on the going down, looking on the street. There's no people on the street. I do know people really are concerned about the situations, and whatever I can do, whatever we all can do collectively to help out the community to you can say this distracted, so to speak, distracted from what we are in right now. So let's jump right in. So this is call number 8, and I've been saying that many times. You know, this will pass, and I believe that eventually it will pass. But today I want to talk about building your team. Like building your team is one of the things that I've been always talking to people. Talking to my investor, talking to my group, talking to my meetup groups, online, offline. It's such a big important thing if you want to be um, really wants to expand your real estate game. I talked about on my own book, The 7 Secrets of Building Real Estate. The number one thing is about building your team. I learned about all these people who have been able to, years in and days out, the reason why they're able to build big corporations, and the reason why some people are able to build big buildings, is because they have a really good team. So today I just want to use this an hour to talk about how to build your real estate team. So I say that it's about building a team to restart your future. I keep that in because you know what, I think we are all ready to be restarting. Whether you're going to ready to be restart today, or whether you're going to be ready to restart in 6 months. The truth is, you have to restart. Whether you're going to be starting finding a job, whether you're going to be restarting to building a real estate team, or go. I was talking to some of my inner group. They were struggling about a little bit of how to find capital. Attracting investor into your team is a part of building your team. So I find this topic really timely. I find this topic really timely in the fact that you will never have a point in time that you don't need team, whether it's going to be managing your properties, doing your contract, and just go out and find deals. You need to brokers to find your team, and go out to manage your property. You need your property managers to manage your properties, or you need someone to teach you how to do that. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited today to share how do people like us build a team. And I think how do people like you can build your team too. I find this really funny is, as I starting out, I'm an introvert myself. I have challenges talking to people most of the time, expressing myself. And one thing I found is like the more you do, the easier it is. Building a team, talking to investors, talking to property managers is nothing different from what I'm talking about. So if you can talk to your boss, many of you guys is working for someone else, if you can talk to your boss, you can build your team. If you are talking to your home family, think about that. If many of you is parents, so if you can think about your family member is your team. They are your team, by the way, but you build it without knowing it. So in the real estate game, it's the same. It's the same. You need so many people in your group, in your team, so that they can help. So basically, in the way I think about that, I say that if you want to make money in real estate while you're sleeping, you need your team. If you need someone to take care of your properties at 3 a.m., handle the call. I'm laughing, right? I'm smiling because I no longer take care of my properties myself because I'm investing in multifamily. I no longer take care of. I no longer go and answer the tenant's call and screen the tenant and do a bunch of other things that related to managing properties, because I have built a team. And that is exactly the reason why I want to share with you today is building your team, to be able to have the team to be able to handle your problem. If you don't want to drive back, like for me, it's particularly hard because my market is actually in the US. So for me right now, like think about this, we're in a total lockdown. So if I haven't built a team, it will be obviously a disastrous situations. Can't go there. I can't fly there. I can't do anything about it. The only thing that I can do is right now, call my property managers and have him, if I haven't built a team before. So obviously this is not going to work. So think about that as a necessity thing. If you want to grow, think about it as a necessity thing. If you want to grow, because many times you're not going to be, As entrepreneur, as real estate investor, we do things because we think it's easier to do. We do things because it's easy to do ourselves without building a team. On the other things is actually the opposite. If you want to be big, if you want to build big, meaningful real estate holdings, you have to build your team. You have to be able to be comfortable and pay someone else, find it, and so to speak, find them and screen them and manage it. Like this is the key thing: manage it to be one day that you don't have to always answer the tenant's call. One day you don't always have to do it yourself. But the key part is how to manage it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so I'm trying to see if I can scroll my slides here. Let's do this. So so I see a few of you guys on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Zoom. Just say hi or just type hi. You know, and just so I know that you're able to hear me saying hear me, no problem online. Just give a little bit of response, so we can jump right in. So right now, I call this a 3W of building the team in 3 simple steps. Like it's really simple. Is first of all, who are your team? Do you know who are your team, right? Do you know where to find your team? Know why you need them, why you need them. You know why you need to build a team. And I say that a little bit of that at the beginning because you know what? Probably one of the reasons maybe you are ready to all deploy your own capital. This is really typical. For real estate investor, we max out in 5, 10 properties. If you don't have your daughters, friends to co-sign with you in your real estate properties, you probably need to expand your team. If you're like me, to start it out, I invest in Canada, I invest in US, I invest in Hong Kong. Sooner or later, I need to expand by, first of all, knowing that I need to expand my team, knowing that I need to expand my investor group, knowing that I need to expand my property management group, knowing that I need to expand to different market and to go fly there and find and create and manage, screen the team. So that's how I started. I believe everyone can do it. Everyone's path is different. I have done it, and because I have a group. I have a group who have nurtured me, who have shared with me, who I'm fortunate enough to be associated with, and I keep learning and and keep practicing, and you know, building a team is like building a company. It's like building a company. It's like nurturing your family. You're always going to put on work to that. But I guarantee you, if you're investing with investors, it's going to be way easier. If you take care of them, by the way, if you take care of them, it's going to be way easier than investing all your own investment capital. And we're talking about OPM. We're going to touch a little bit of that today. And by the way, investor is your team. Don't get me wrong. Investor is your number one team on your team. And you know how to attract them and where to find your team. And we're going to talk about on all these premises today. Next slide. So, you know, there's nothing magical about this. This is not a get rich quick tomorrow scheme. And if it is, and you think it is, if for whatever reason you see my post and you think it is, and you're not happy about it, I hate to be the one to telling you that real estate is not a get rich quick scheme. And you're going to do the work. You need to put in your work. And I say that many times to people, investors, students, come to my groups. And you know what? I hope that it is, but you know what? It is not. I think the thought of real estate is you know, you can basically build out, you know, hundreds of thousand units like tomorrow and to be able to invest like really quickly. The media doesn't actually help us a lot by telling us, you know, you can always ride all this market cycle and things like that. You know, in order to ride market cycle like this right now out there, you need to know what you're doing. In fact, you always need to know what you're doing, by the way. But you right now, you need the knowledge to be able to find the market, raise the capital, building a team, basically all the things that I'm set out on here on the screens. You need those kind of knowledge and those kind of system much more than ever before, before you have a market cycle. Just keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. I know some of you guys were coming from the other part of the country or other part of of the North America. The market has been always appreciating for the last 5 years. You don't really need to know all this, by the way. You don't need to know too much of market research because the people is always expanding. There's always people coming to your city, and you don't need to raise too much capital because you know what, you have the ability. Your property has been appreciating, and you don't need to expand that much. Or maybe you don't need to go to other market to find more lucrative deals to be able to give you the cash flow that you do need. And that's what we're talking about here. We need a system to be able to research, raise capital, build credibility, build your team, today's topic, negotiate lucrative deals, underwriting. How do you learn about underwriting on my underwriting boot camps? And really learn to lead, learn to manage. And at the end of the day, financial deal, close a deal. And it's a step-by-step process that you can learn. By the way, you can learn. And this is particularly designed for multifamilies. It is similar steps. If you say, I invest in real estate, I don't know, you can put in how many of you guys already invest in other stuff like stocks and real estates and single family maybe. But this system that I designed it and learned it and distilled it in the way that I'm showing here today is particularly for people who have been maybe burned by the market, from 30,000 Dow Jones all the way to 19,000. Come back a little bit because the government has been putting a lot of money on the stock market. Maybe you get burned. Maybe you get burned on the real estate. I was reading the news on Toronto. The market is Toronto. I pick Toronto. I apologize to some of you guys from Toronto. Calgary is the same. It's no different. The single families is going to be crash in a lot of ways. A lot of good mentors have been talking about it. Now you're just seeing it. So I guess the choice is whether you're going to keep embracing single families that it doesn't cash flow and have a hope that they're always appreciated, always going up, or maybe it's time to think about, maybe I can learn about multifamily. It's more sustainable when people are selling their home and they all need a place to live, and they're going to be selling their home and coming to multifamily or small unit or whatnot to basically be your renter, give you rents that you and I dearly need when we are sleeping. And that's what we're talking about. So why this Zoom call? I do a little modification. I say that it's my multifamily missions. And I'm telling others in similar shoes that they can invest in multifamily. The reason why I do this, weeks in and weeks out, month in and month out, and it's because I like many others who have done it and have contributed and continue to do this because I believe you can find cash flow investment. I'm not talking about Calgary. I'm not talking about Toronto. I'm not talking about New York, all this expensive market that you have a chance to appreciate property. I'm talking about you can actually find the market and build a team in such that mitigated risk that you think that is, those market is not enough job growth, maybe it's too cheap for a reason. You know what? A lot of people who invest in so-called secondary or tertiary market, they getting cash flow 7% or even higher month in, month out. They're able to do it. And I have been able to do it. I've continuously been doing it. And I want to tell you how you do it. And that's why I'm doing this. Invest. Another reason is I say this, my multifamily mission is, how do you invest in passive investors? While I'm doing on this journey, I see many investors is always in this questions, have these questions. How do I attract? How do I be able to attract and work with passive investors? Let me know. I want to hear if this is one of the on the chat group or on the Facebook, and I'm not able to reply on Facebook Live, but on the Zoom call on the live, maybe just note it for yourself. are you having trouble in working with private investors? And there's no shame on that, because we are not taught to how to approach investors from day one. I'm an investor. I'm an engineer from my previous life, and no one tell me how do I need to properly present my deals, properly talk to investors, and attract investors, passive investors into my group. So that was what I want to do at the beginning. Is like crack out, how do I talk to them? How do I present myself properly? No one were able to teach me, at least on the multifamily, and how do I actually do that? Convert it from the Canadian perspective. I'm Canadians, and talk and go to US. So no one had tell me about it. So I learned slowly and slowly by joining meetup group like this, by distilling informations like that. So eventually is to provide a healthy return. I said a healthy return to them, and this is really key, to be also at the same time feed your family. I'm talking about you, the one who are actually watching this video right now. So say that again if you missed that. Get the investors, get them on board, and provide a healthy return to them, that they're happy, and at the same time feed your family. So that is my goal. Have your team to help you succeed in multifamily investing, meaning that you pay your team, and that's what we've been talking about here on this meeting. Pay your team, and so that they can do the work happily, because you're paying them on your deals. So many of you guys knowing that when you're investing in single family, it's really hard to be able to hire a property manager, to properly manage your property. And that's nothing wrong with that. The only one problem is that is you're going to be really hard to attract capital. And I'll tell you why. When you're not having professional management, I'm talking about property management just on that one particular teammate, you are going to have a hard time, at least not as easy to raise capital. I'll tell you why. When you're telling your investors and you're telling them I'm self-managing, it's really hard to engage and to be able to answer other questions. And that's one of my difficulty when I was trying to approach investors, because I'm trying to do everything myself. I have this mindset, I have this thinking for some reason that I'm really young, that I have to do everything myself. If I'm going to be the most able investor or entrepreneur, I have to do everything myself. I was thinking of that. So I'm going to tell you that you don't have to. Someone tell me long time ago, you don't have to. And it takes me years to understanding that I can and I'm able to, and my responsibility as an investor is to able to find, work, manage, screen the team that I have, and I'm going to share with all you guys today. And that is the golden point of how you can raise capital, because you build a team such that your investors are confident to be able to work with you. They know that you're not going to do the shortcut. You're not going to do everything yourself. And by the way, we have 24 hours. It's really silly. And you will probably agree when I talk about share with you, how can we, one person or one team or really small team, to be able to manage all the properties, to be able to attract all the capital, to be able to draft the contract, to be able to do insurance quote, to be able to look at all this market. You need a team. If I haven't convinced you that you need a team, if you are already listening or watching this video for 20 minutes, I have failed you. Because you know what? It is something that I believe so dearly. It's my missions, and that's why I put it here. My multifamily missions, to be telling you and sharing with you. You need a team. You sooner or later, you're gonna be reaching upon that. I expend too much, and where do I start it? So that's exactly why I want to share with you. So I haven't coined it. It's called my X step, emerging to multis. So my marketer is going to kill me because actually I shared this screen. This is my multifamily online training bootcamps, online training, self-training software that I'm going to launch out on May. So how do you find the emerging market? Manage your team, analyze the deal, re-evaluate, basically mean that due diligence. How do you do a DD? Generate deal flow, investing with your investors, meaning that attract investor capital, negotiate it and make offer with sellers, and at the end, close your deal. So there you go. So this is something that I have spent the last year to create it, but eventually I spent the last 4 months to distill it and make it and work with my marketer to make it as a way that you don't have to, if you think right now you have nothing to do, and there you go, because you know what, everyone's stuck at home, and I think the only way that it can help you to be learning this is basically stay at home and log onto your group, log onto your computer screens, but you know what, this is the software that I created. It's not live yet, but the reason I'm showing it to you because you know what, that's if you go back to my last screens, this is my mission, that I believe that everyone can do this. And the one way to do this is you're either going to keep coming to the call like this, or you keep learning, or you keep hearing about how you do multifamily buyable, or you're going to be eventually doing it. So this is my way to say that, you know, you can do it. You can do it while you're staying at home. If you are stuck at home and if you're stuck at home, you think, oh, how do I start it? You know, this is the word you want to give. How do you start market research? How do you start managing teams? You talk about Howard. It's like, very good. You talk about all this. How do you do this? There you go. Because you know what? Not everyone have 20,000 in the pocket to be able to learn this by one-on-one. And I realized that. And not everyone's is ready to jump on the ships that, you know what, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be the Nick, Sam, whatever, and then build all this portfolio. But I believe in everyone can start at the as a small step. So I've been talking about multifamily. So as first, a little bit of my background, if you guys haven't heard of me, is I have been sharing since 2017. I've been hosting 50 events and over 2,000 audience. But particularly this year, I've been holding, this is my number 14 events. And I've been talking multiple times online, on live, on videos, on Zoom call. And I just want to get you to get this message is you can do it. So today's Zoom call is about creating your team. So we're going to talk about today the effective ways of creating a team. Lay it out who they are, how do you attract them into your team, consistently finding the right people, and keep on doing it because the best is never stop. You have to keep on building a team so that you don't have to actually do the job that you tell them to do. So I have this morning when I was doing some last minute changes on the slides is just think about yourself. Have anyone played puzzle before? You know, you cannot, or you can say that, you know, I have played. I'm pretty sure everyone have played puzzle. And what is your experience in playing puzzle, by the way? It's like collecting and playing puzzle. Many will touch. This is basically what I want to use this example and bridge that to your experience in building a team. Many will be touched while you're doing that, but not everything is right for now. You see, you open up a box of puzzle, and the first thing is, you know, where do I start? This is pretty much like real estate game. You know, you're gonna touch a lot of them, but the thing is, you really need to find the right pieces at the right time, right? Isn't it? You know, my idea, my recommendation is find them, categorize them, and they all have different purposes because the puzzle you have holding in your hand right now, it doesn't fit what the next step you're trying to do. Maybe it doesn't fit, you know, oh, I'm just needing to find my property managers, but you know what, I have this lawyer's contact. Well, it is not for your next steps, but you're gonna need that next time. And this is pretty much like playing puzzle games when you're building your team. So what is the biggest challenge of playing puzzle? Well, you cannot complete the puzzle if you're missing one. And that's my point. You really cannot complete and really build successful real estate investing game or real estate industry or trying to build a big portfolio if you don't have a complete puzzle, meaning that you don't have the full picture of all the puzzles. If you're missing one, good luck that you're going to be just like this picture here. You may be missing one and you'll be stuck. You know, what pieces am I missing? Today, I'm going to talk about some of that. So it pays to realize that you need the full puzzle. You need all the different parts that in order to complete your game. It also pays to know that you need to, you know, when I'm playing puzzle, I don't know about you, but I like to, you know, put the border first. You know, that's help me. Basically, that's the groundwork So if I never play a puzzle, if no one tell me that that's how you play, I'm not saying that I will not be able to play the game, but it just means that I will be playing much slower. So that's a particular way to make it quicker. And if you play the puzzle, the funnest time is also when you play the puzzle is becomes really, really easy. Is when you have the last few puzzle, when you trying to put all the puzzle and you only have last 10 pieces and you see the big picture. And that's the time that it becomes really easy because it's accelerate at the end of the game. And there's like other people like me or other people who have been done in this many, many times. And because we see the big picture, because we have seen this by putting all the puzzle together. And I want to share that same analogy. What I say is the same. If you have collect the puzzle, if you see and count each puzzle in your game, it's really just like that. So who are your team? We talk about puzzle as an analogy, but really go down to who are your team to really help to building your real estate game. So, well, you need the brokers, you need property managers, you need mentors, advisor, you need an attorney, lawyer, accountant, lenders, contractor, appraiser, property inspector, insurance agent. I know this sounds like a lot at the beginning when I was starting to learn real estate. I think I already told you, real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So if you know that, if this is something that you want to build on, by the way, I'm reading a report yesterday, and the thing is from Bigger Pocket. So people who have been joining Bigger Pocket, that you probably have read that. But basically, they say that 1 out of 8 Americans consider themselves as a real estate investors. They either invest in deals, they either wanted to invest, or they already have owned. But unfortunately, most of them is single-family investors. Unfortunately, most of them, they're doing it as a lone wolf. Unfortunately, most of them, they know that they need the degree of property manager, advisor, property managers, all these people in the team, but they don't work. It's kind of like they don't work enough to find the border, like the skeleton of building your key elements to be able to succeed in the game puzzle or in the game of real estate. So they don't work enough to, for example, for me, one big important part is I have to build a real estate broker team in my market. So I have to be able to put in enough time on my own schedule to bring my real estate broker team. This morning, I just got 50 units from my market, and it sounds like automatic. So, and I'm having a call with my broker. It's not. There's nothing automatic about it, by the way. If you think the broker deal will just come to you, especially the pocket listing, will come to you, there's nothing automatic about it. It's because you build a team, you will continuously nurture the team. When you go find the team, you meet with them, you tell them what you need, and you keep the relationship intact. You keep the relationship going. It's no different from when you're doing your property managers. I've been communicating with my property managers on the daily level. It's fair to say, if not daily level, it's probably 2 or 3 times a week. And so I have some students who are learning about multifamily. I'm doing this every week with them. So it's no different about those. Lawyers, accountants, they're all the same. But let's talk about each one of them, and so that I give you a little bit of resolutions and how, when I'm actually meeting all these people, what to talk to them. And this does not mean, by the way, this is an hour only on the Zoom call. This does not mean that this is the only thing you need to do, by the way. This is the things that I want to share with you, meaning that, if you first time realize that you need a team, and want to give you a little bit overview. I want to give you a little bit of nuggets that how people done it, how people buy multiple units, how people are able to expand the team. And that's why we're going to give you a little bit of an insight how people like us done that. So real estate brokers, really easy. Some of you guys online may be real estate brokers, but I'm talking about from personal experience. Some good points about talking to them is, that's good and bad brokers, by the way. I'm not trying to pick up anyone. It's just like anything, that's good or bad doctors, that's good or bad investors, that's good or bad brokers. And just like the way it is, the good brokers will give you the actual numbers, right? And the bad brokers will try to give you a performer and let you to buy performer numbers, which meaning that few years down the road, you have to be able to know them, and then you have to be able to have the knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, seek someone and ask me about it. Ask me about what is real numbers, what is the actual numbers, what is future numbers. When I'm going in and investing in multifamily, no one's telling me that all the numbers they put, a lot of numbers they put it on the OM, on the offer memorandum. They are future numbers. They're not fake, but they're future numbers. They are 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road numbers, but they're trying to let you to buy right now. So they pay that to have someone to tell you that, because you talk about $1,000,000 or $100,000 of deals. Knowing that the difference between actual number and the performer numbers is really going to help. By the way, people who have been joining and doing on this call, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not a big group. We're having about 15 people overall in a few different online sources on like YouTube and Facebook. Just share with me, ask me what is your questions, because this is supposed to be shared with all you guys, and I'm okay to answer questions as long we go. So big thing is, what is the future number? What is the actual number versus performer? Performer is actually, something that hasn't materialized yet, but the brokers want you to buy it because he or she is representing the seller right now. So the good brokers, they are there to build long-term relationships, right? And one thing that when a good broker is, my broker sent me the deal this morning. He immediately tell me, this is, by the way, he doesn't even need me to basically go for the documentation. The first thing he's going to tell me, this is the property that I forget, it's like 48 or 56, is around that range. And next thing is like, I'm going to schedule a call after this meeting. And he told me, by the way, Howard, before you dive into that, this is, by the way, the whole thing, the whole property is empty. So meaning that and then it goes on telling me that the owner is doing renovation. Okay. So, this is what a good brokers will be doing, to share, because he or she is building a long-term relationships, because the long-term relationship worth hundreds of thousands of dollars of commissions. Three rules my mentors always say when dealing with brokers, and I'm selfish enough that I think is really true, and I'm selfish enough that I'm copying them and show it to you guys, and because I think it's really true. Make it easy for other people to do business with you, number one, and be responsive. Basically, it means be responsive. Be responsive in the way that don't let the other people to wait for weeks before you can reply. If you say that you're going to do if you say that you're going to do something, and do what you say. That's number two. You say that, do what you say. If you say you're going to send him the rent roll, send him the rent roll. And do what you say. That's really big. And number three is they're really competitive people. Know that. This is actually my point. They're really competitive people, and they are not. So knowing that they're really competitive people, it will help to get to the next deal. Property managers. So what is a good point? What are a few good points that First of all, I'm assuming that you're convinced that you need property managers, and hopefully you don't manage your properties yourself. What is the three good points you need to know when you're talking to them? So by the way, good property managers can refer you to good brokers, and good property managers could refer you to deals. Let's kind of go back to that's the reason people like us creating a team, because I get deals from my property managers. I get deals from property managers. In fact, the deals that he's trying to sell, he is already managing right now. If he know, because sometimes only we let the property managers know that I'm selling, and that's how I get my deals. Some of the deals, that's how I get my deals. And it's really important because I only need 24 hours. So are you. It's really important for you to leverage your team in such a way that it's going to be a win-win relationships. So the good ones will refer you to the deals, refer you to good property, good brokers, and knowing this too, good ones are never the cheapest. Know this for now. It doesn't actually only for property managers. It applies to any single ones. The good ones usually is not the cheapest, and I personal experience, I'm sure you have, and they are free. I say that they're the free guy. They basically, when you're trying to build a relationship with property managers, they almost start immediately working for you for free, and they will go to the property, look for you. If this is different market, they will start looking at play around with the numbers with you. They will do on-site due diligence, guys. So I talk about on my online training, DD, or you evaluate. Basically, after you do analyzing your deals, now you have to evaluate your deal. So they're your on-site DD guy, and they will know and they go through your budget plan, and they should know how to do a maintenance plan. You talk about multifamily, so it's really, really important. After the property man, after the brokers, this is second team that you have to know, and you have to build, by the way. And it doesn't cost you anything when you're building this team. But the key thing is know them. That's different type of property managers too. That's different type of property managers, mainly different class of properties, different size of property at different level of the market. So know them, screen them. I have property managers myself, but I always talk to other property managers, because you know what? I said it on the previous slide. You always keep finding the best. You always look. That's how you build your successful real estate game. You always, even if you have your property manager, even if you have your brokers, I always keep a contact with my potential team players, because you know what? There's always better people to be able to work with. There's always and as a real estate investor, if you want to work with private investors, passive investors, be able to hand you the money, you say, "How loud? Can you help me to create this and grow and generate cash flow?" And you have to be. That's your job, by the way. That's your job to be able to do that. Okay. So, attorneys or lawyers, attorney is U.S. term. I put on a few things because I know so many lawyers along the way. So you need to know cross-border, attorneys, so they basically able to know the difference between, I'm from Canada, I'm investing in US. You know that, you guys know that. How do I put in structure in place? How do I structure in place? To basically put in structure in place, good for Canadian investors, good for US investors, and good for myself and good for the properties. So I have to know all the structure, how to protect themselves, and you have to talk to enough. Don't talk to, before I actually finalize on my first deal that I want to work with this lawyer, and I have talked to multiple lawyers. I'll talk to five different security Canadian US lawyers, so that I know what I'm talking about. Because the investor turning to me, you want to raise capital with me, you want to do this with me. Have you done your work? It's coming down to, have you done your work? Do you know what you're talking about? Where do you got these information from? Do you know that the tax structures, and do you know if my access is protected based on, because I'm investing in Canada? You have to figure it out yourself. Or if you don't, ask someone else who have done it. Because if you don't know, if you haven't spent the time to actually navigate that, the consequence is deadly. Because you can be using a structure that is basically maybe not protected Canadians, because this is a U.S. property, or maybe you can be doing a construction structure that is not tax efficient. And this come back to working attorneys yourself with accountant, cross-border accountant. So you have to know this. But 3 points I want to share with you when my experience working with attorney is, commercial. You have to pick the attorney who have experience in doing the property and commercial. Don't pick a residential attorney. I don't know many lawyers will try to convince you if their only experience is residential, and they haven't done that. I don't think many of them will convince you. But you have to know the differences. If he or she, the lawyers attorney, is showing you that this is my year of experience, and they don't drive with what you're trying to buy. If you're trying to buy 150 unit apartments, and all his experience is only doing strip malls, it's still commercial, but it's different type of commercial, right? So you have to figure out, does the accountant, does the lawyer have enough experience in doing this kind of deal? So it's on you, right? It's on you. So you have to know, is relevant experience there, number of years experience, I've been doing this kind of apartments. I ask the question all the time: have you done this many times? How many have you done? How many units have you done? How many dollars figure have you done? And send me the contract that you have done before. They may or may not send to you. Maybe they have to hide some of the informations. But knowing the tax perspective, does your lawyers know that, or you just say, you know what, I don't know about that. You go figure it out with your accountant. I would be personally, this is a personal preference. I'll be more inclined to working with attorneys, to be able to know the tax law of cross-border. Maybe they can charge me more. Usually it is, but it means that they know how to protect me from the tax perspective, from the asset protection perspective. And the big thing is when you are trying to buy properties from an existing owner, and that's what I mean by the next point, transfer ownerships, sometimes it will becomes is a tax triggering event. So it's tax triggering event, meaning that you're going to be buying a property is probably going to be probably more than what the seller is paying for. So it's going to be triggered because the tax the county on the city is coming, the assessment team is coming and say, this is more than what we registered last time. So if we're going to charge you for more tax, there's ways to do this, and to basically the lawyer should be able to teach you how to mitigate some of the risks. So answer the questions. Security attorneys to help you to draft the closing documents. So security attorneys. So when I talk about attorneys, there's 3 types of attorneys. Take a note of that. That's litigation attorneys. Basically, all they do is to litigate, and that's real estate attorneys. So all they do is close the properties. Basically, real estate. Basically, they know, and they and different type of close transaction lawyers will be different too. The lawyers who know how to close building like this will be different lawyers that they're going to close apartments, even though they are transaction attorneys too. And the last is security attorneys. Security attorneys, another term is which is really popular, is like corporate lawyers. But basically they know how to structure company in a way that is going to be makes sense when you're doing deals. So will you ask what's the difference between asset management and property management? It's really good questions. Property management, meaning that you are basically on the group, on the ground, managing the property, managing properties, meaning that the physical, all the units, when someone is calling, your tenant is calling at 3 a.m., property management company will be the one who's responsible. They may not be the one, or they may be the one who actually handling that, someone is at the washroom is stuck or like leaking problem. So this is property management, including the screening of the tenants, including the healthy of the property itself. Asset management is what we do. We are asset managing. So when I say we, I mean key investor like us, to building a whole team. You put in your property management in place, you put in investing in place, you put in the brokers funding the deals so that you have the deal flow and all these kind of things. That's what I mean by we. So we are asset managing. Do I go in and fix the drywall? No, I don't. Do I go in and plug and open the door to tenant? No, I don't. So so this is the difference between those two. Let me know if this is clear to you well.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So mentors, mentors is one key thing of your real estate investing game. I got the questions like when I was explaining the closing process. Closing process is very rigorous, from all the ways to knowing your finance, knowing property finance, and putting all the package and to close it. So and then going through the due diligence, going through the qualification of the loan. It's nothing similar, by the way. If you have never done one multifamily deals or commercial deals, it's nothing similar. When you talk about residential, I don't know other type of commercial, it's nothing similar. It's similar. They have the same type of people, but in terms of the process, is probably 10 times, 20 times more rigorous. and they will answer the same about their financial and all that. But you know what? It's crazy. Okay. So you need someone experienced to be able to help you if you're trying to buy that 20 unit, even 20 units, even something small. You need someone to be able to walk you through. Otherwise, one mistake is going to cost you hundreds of thousands easily. So you need someone experienced. You need someone who are already investing, in Canada. If you're a Canada investor, you need someone who are already investing from Canada to US. Because this is another thing that when I was trying to invest from Canada to US, I'm going to all this US group and trying to learn as a Canadian investor how to do it from Canada to US. And so no one's really tell me about how to do this, or they know part of the puzzle. This is pretty typical. Is they know part of the puzzle. They have done it themselves 1 or 2 times, and they may do it single families, but they don't know how to do it. How to do it? This is the biggest challenges. How to do it in structure in a way that is tax efficient, tax effective, with Canadian investors and US investors, and doing it in a way that, as a Canadian investor myself, at that time, talking about years ago, how do I go into US and build all these relationships? So I find this very challenging, and I find it really interesting too, because when you are Canada, when you're Canadians, many of the United States people is really nice, by the way. I love them. There's a couple of you guys in here, but I also find it challenging when I'm Canadians that, I'm definitely not the first one who wanted and still wanted to keep going to US and invest. But I find it challenging because I'm from different countries. I always joke, I'm Americans because I've been traveling to US so many times, but I still find it challenging. So at that time, so if you're trying to learn from how to invest from Canada to US, the geography is totally different, and all that. The building team is different, and and it's not only about the currency, it's different. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need someone to be able to speak the language, and maybe it's from other people, maybe it's from me, but I encourage you to spend the time, learn about the differences. Multifamily, single families, Canadian, US. So this is all moving parts that you have to know if you, as a Canadian investors, and I'm so fed up with, we're paying $150K a pop in Calgary, and why can I not find something that is like 30,000 in US? That's always what I'm saying. When I was decided that I need to go to US because, I don't want to pay 150,000 per unit for a market that I know is going to keep going down. It's not giving me enough cash flow. But, my mentors open up my mind. So, but, I say that here, it pays to pay. And the best way is to pay to play. And let's smile because it's a hard concept to grasp. But now I know that that's when I'm trying to overcome barrier. And I don't want to buy expensive property that doesn't cash flow in Canada, I have to pay to play. So 3 points, when you're talking to them, know how they build their empire, how they build their portfolio. That's really key. Are they open to you? Are they willing to teach you? And if they're willing, know the prices, because you're going to need to pay. The fee one is actually really pricey because you know what? They're either not going to give you the time, or they just haven't done it. They say they've done it. Next, appraisal. And I have a good story to share on appraiser on all after these slides, by the way. 3 points to know when you're talking to appraiser. Second opinion from the bank appraiser. I know that when you're trying to get a bank loan, usually the bank already have appraiser. So why we're approaching appraiser. By the way, first thing is you want to know if the bank is, when you, let's say refinancing, I'm refinancing right now, one of my property. So I need to know whether that bank is actually over, or is it over or under. The worst can happen is obviously under, because I'm leaving a lot of money on the table, right? And second opinions, it's cost you maybe a few $1,000s, but it's going to be worth it. If he or she able to make, it give you a higher LTV, right? It could be a cheap one too if they give you the great value. That's what I'm talking about. Treat them well, apparently. Control your property worth. And I say that, a lot of real estate investors, they don't only control the property worth. A lot of real estate investors, if you have a big equity stake, they control your net worth. That's why I'm so fuzzy about this. They don't only control the property worth, because they control the property worth, they control your net worth. I just smile because it's so true. Because if you're like me, who have a lot of real estate investing holdings on different countries, they don't the property worth is not only a property worth. It is your net worth. And your net worth is a lot of things. Not only about, it's important that as a spreadsheet that is you mean so much dollar figure. It also means that when you're trying to buy properties, that's going to determine factors. How do you how much can you qualify? So we also have questions. Do you use the national companies or stick with local appraiser? So first of all, I never have experience with national appraiser companies, so I can't answer the questions. But I would basically answer the same question: is do you have experience? It's come back to this. Do you have experience on this market? Do you know? So this appraiser is really my gut feel to answer the question is appraiser is really local. If they know, it's really rare that national appraiser company will know every single little details on the planet or on the local market. So I will be more inclined. They are more. The way that I do this is I get free contacts from my brokers, from my mortgage brokers, and from my property managers. And the way that I do it is ask them I will talk to them before I actually hire them. I will talk to them. How many have you done? And if you can actually get references, the best is actually to get references from the appraiser who they have done work with. If you can do that, that's the best, because they will have their experience. And I share one slide. Next slide is talking about it's very, very expensive, $1,500. One of the person I know, and he is an investor friend of mine, by the way. He know this investor guy, appraiser, because it's very good price, cheap, very good price or cheap. So long story short, I sort of work with this guy, and not going to disclose too much because I don't want to let you guys know who that is. But it's a commercial properties. It's not apartments. And then he got it appraised, and it's very, 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 very low cost, something like 1,500 to get appraisal for this commercial property. Cheap, easy to work with, but for whatever reason, so casually the appraiser asks my investor friend, "How much you think the property worth?" And my investor friend is probably over $1 million, and that's where the joke starts and ends. And a few days later, a week later, the appraiser come back with the appraiser. Here you go, $1 million worth. And my investor friends just dropped the draw, because you know what, that property should worth over 1.5 to 2 millions in that range. So the appraiser just gave me $1 million worth. And I don't know every little details of this story, but it sounds like it sounds like it's sometimes the cheapest is not the most is actually the most expensive one. Don't try to price little. We're in the time that is really challenging time. We have to price. We have to be really careful on what we spend. But many times we're doing so many things that that can maybe potentially cost us. That property is probably worth 1.7 million, and that's why I say that sometimes cheapest is very expensive. And I hope that he can actually get the appraiser reappraise it. But it's really scary. You're talking about $700,000 on the table. Canadian fund, same, still worth about $500,000 US. So know them and be careful what you tell them too, I guess. And apparently this appraiser doesn't really know too much about this type of properties. So be careful of that. Lenders. So 3 points of talking to lenders. So that's national lenders, that's banks, conduit, short-term lenders, CMBS, local bank, local credit unions, many of them. And key questions is, I meet a lot of lenders. There's a quick questions. Have they worked with Canadians? That's a big thing, by the way. Do they know how to lend to Canadians? Will they lend to Canadians? Who will, who will not? If they will, what is the requirements? What do they need? How many times have they worked with Canadians? Do they work with first-time investors? Do we work with first-time investors who are investing from Canada or from other part of the countries to even other part of countries too? Some lenders only lend with local lenders, local investors. And what type of properties have they done? Your type of properties, so so you need to know them, because lenders and mortgage broker, they're after a fee, which is usually a very, very cheap fee. When I say cheap fee, meaning that they perform highly in comparison to the money that you get. So it's really cheap money that I'm paying for them. So I have no problem with that. That's what I'm trying to say. And have this ready, your resume on similar properties. Have you done similar things? If you have, put it on a resume. If not, put it on a good sales page. Your property management resume. So how many of the similar deals your property management have done this? Your team. Again, your team. Description of your deals, your execution strategies, and pictures, probably financials, your own financials. So this is not, by the way, this is not exhaustive list by any sense. And this, I probably missing a couple of things, but this is the minimum things that you have to know when you're talking to your mortgage brokers. And they should know. If they don't answer this, it's a red flag, because the lenders at the back need to know this. So it means that may not have experience. They may not know that you have sensitivity of your closing times. So that's another thing. It's like you have to know when you need to close. All this is really, that's why I say closing is a really crazy process, but it's also a very exciting process. Well, after that, you're going to get your cash flow check. Property inspectors, experience, know apartments, know when to done the apartments. Have they done many inspection apartments? Do not get referral from brokers. Tell me, like anyone's on here, tell me anyone to know that why you don't get referral from brokers. Interaction time, guys. I'm checking my Facebook too. So make sure
they're biased.
Yeah, sorry, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, they're biased.
They have the rights. They said
they're biased. They want to sell you the property.
Exactly. So so yes, very good. So they may be, guess what? That's what the mortgage the inspector is worried about. If they do, so this is the thing. They're biased and they may conveniently miss something that is really, really important. They may miss something such that the mortgage broker probably don't want you to know. And they may be talking to, they may not be talking to, but the point is, it's not about that. The point is, why put yourself at risk? So don't get your referral from the mortgage broker. I mean, from the real estate broker, or your listing brokers, because he is going to be biased. Remember, you don't pay your brokers. The seller does pay the brokers. So talk to a few of them before you make any decisions. And my best is get it from property managers. You know what? I get it from property managers because they are the one, property management is the one eventually need to run the property. So they're the one, if they're going to know, the property manager is going to give me a budget, to maintain properties, monthly, year ends, how much, what they fix. So I control what the property management company to fix, right? So get referral from property management company. In fact, when you walk the properties, you can get a property inspected. You should be walking with the property managers and yourself with the inspector, if you can. And I always do it. In the rule of thumb, it's about $50 per doors for apartments. In different markets, different, but for a Midwest market, it's about that. It doesn't cost you $3,000 per unit. Insurance agent, get quotes from them, know them, know a few of them, and review the quote with PM. When you get the quote, get the best. The best one is the one that you can work with big property management company. If they have 3,000 managed and if they all go through a single insurance company, and the fact is they have something called umbrella coverages, and they can basically put you under the policy, under the program, and as a separate item at over the 3,000 units or whatever the big portfolio is, and you would get a big discount for that. Contractors. Get quotes from three of them again. I've seen contractor give me different quote, and from the same properties, all the way from double to triple, and they were trying to tell you the reason. They're trying to reason it, but get through code so that you can review that. Review the code with PM. Another thing, walk the properties when you get a quote from them. Walk the property with the contractors, with the PM, and you at the same time, and not with the inspector that we're talking about. Different walk. And walk with them, get reference from them, work and see their work too. You know, when they say, you know, Dad, I've done this. Okay, go walk their properties. Go take a look at the inside unit if you can. So because you know, when you're managing your team remotely, you have to do all this. There we go. I know we are actually right on time on 12 o'clock today. So this is a pre-designed step-by-step process. I mean, pre-designed in a way that the 8 steps that I talked about earlier is researching, building a team, finding capital, creating credibility, managing a team, raising capital, managing your properties, and approaching the lenders. So all these 8 steps, eventually closing. So it's a predefined system. And recap of today is called build a team. 2 things: build a team, finding a team. The sooner you build a team, the sooner you're going to make a lot of millions of money while you're sleeping, because you're not doing it. You still have to maintain the call. You still have to maintain them. But I'm going to open up the questions. If you have questions on anything that we talked about today, and I have yes, I can share the presentation by email. Sandeep, I can do that. I can share to all you guys. It's just I can I'm pretty sure you guys I'm pretty sure you guys register. Make sure you register. Make sure you send your email address privately to me. But otherwise, I would just send the slides to you guys privately. But you know, you want to copy my result? Go to start learning and start asking me about how to self-training yourself. And if you want to copy my result and keep coming to meetup groups, I have a meetup meeting this week on Saturday. Come 1 to 3, and we're gonna talk about the 3 important thing and on how to negotiate and how to find properties and how to close it. Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. I got it. And keep coming to weekly Zoom call. I have 1 Zoom call today. I have next Zoom call on next Wednesday. And by the way, I also have an underwriting bootcamp that I'm gladly share with all of you guys how to do underwriting. I've been doing this since last fall, and I'm doing this day number 2. But I've done it because it's basically underwriting is really important. That's how we learn about the numbers. Some of you guys already joined me, and I'm glad to share more with all you guys. But you know, next Zoom call on next Wednesday on 11 same time. Topic is 8 steps to invest in multifamily. I'm going to also have the chance to share about how do you really grab the concept. You know, some of you guys saying that, you know, this is good, this is really good information, but you really have to dig deep and spend the time yourself to look at all these steps. How do you put it's kind of like a puzzle? How do you put all this puzzle into your game? How do you put all this puzzle into your real estate game? And to really help you to bring in the cash flow and fund the market and really start investing, you know, and attract all these private investors with your group, with the network. So thank you very much for all you guys joining. Really appreciate and it's an honor to talk to you guys today. Let me know if you have questions. If not, see you next week.
Thank you, Howard.
Thanks, Will.
Great. Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, God. All right, guys. Nice talking to you guys. Ciao.